I have the privilege of introducing Harvey Nelson. Harvey was born and raised in Akron, Ohio, and grinded his way through Firestone High School and the University of Akron. He has had the good fortune to be co-founder and co-CEO of the gourmet frozen bakery product manufacturer, Main Street Gourmet. He gives back to the community through participation in Junior Achievement, the Akron-Canton Regional Food Bank, Muffins for Mammograms, and many other institutions in Northeast Ohio. He has been happily married to his wonderful wife, Kim, for over 29 years, and together they figured out how to create 3 children. Was it hard, Harvey? 3 children and get them out of the house within 18 years. Harvey hopes he will someday be remembered for his innovative business concepts, his creative, inspirational, and fun writings, film, and speeches. And if not for that, then for the time that he found $500 in a wallet and returned the wallet, but felt really guilty about keeping the $500. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Harvey to the stage.
I was riding on a dragon, flying across a clear blue sea. We'd been looking for adventure, that majestic beast in me. And we flew into a sun which never seemed to set, towards a special island where by chance one day we met. And the first words that he spoke to me I never will forget, the joy and laughter in his voice that sang of life without regret. And he said, I come from a place of fantasy, of living rocks and candy trees. But in this land of make-believe, you'll often find realities. So choose a world of passion and dreams. Just climb on my back, we'll fly, then you'll see. So ever since then, we've been in the air, on a journey and search, going everywhere. And now we're back where we started, and I understand. Life becomes what you make it, so make it be grand. So I wrote that poem around 35 years ago, and as you can see from the next documented slide, it was based on a true story. So over the years, I've thought a lot about the meaning of and currently I relate it the same as the author Hermann Hesse interprets happiness. He says happiness is a how, not a what, a talent, not an object. So my poem is really not about what you achieve, but how you choose to live. Now, as I always say, it's better to give than receive, especially advice. And obviously there are many choices on how to live, but here are a few pieces of advice from me on how to live to make your life grand. First, you got to take risks. When you take risks, you play in the game. Who's more alive, the guy on the tightrope or the guy on the ground watching? When I was younger, I took a lot of risks. Hang gliding was one of my favorite. Without knowing anything, I purchased a used one, found where others are flying, and headed to a farm in North Canton. Climb a few feet, run and crash, do it over and over again. But then one day, I took the ultimate jump off the top of the hill, the ground rushing away, the wind rushing by, flying for what seemed hours but was only minutes, until I finally had an awkward but no broken bones landing. I never felt so alive. But by taking risks like that, I built up the strength to start a business with one of my best friends, a muffin shop in downtown Akron when downtown was struggling. 30 years later, I'm happy to tell you the risk paid off. We now run a successful company in a 70,000 square foot facility that provides custom bakery products to some of the most respected food companies across America, Cracker Barrel and Whole Foods, to name a couple. Lesson 1, risk pays. But when you take risks, there's going to be challenges and struggles. To make life grand, you got to learn to embrace them. You got to be a warrior. A story I really like is of a class of young students who were on an outdoor field trip and they found a cocoon and convinced their teacher to take it back to school. One day, the cocoon finally began to tremble as the moth made its efforts to get out into the world. The moth struggled and struggled, seemingly getting nowhere. His body was simply too large to fit through the tiny opening in the cocoon. The little kids begged their teacher to help the moth out, and she took a tiny pair of scissors and carefully cut through the opening at the top of the cocoon, and soon the moth popped out effortlessly, except the moth fell from the cocoon badly deformed, with a huge body and very tiny wings. After flopping around for a while, sadly, it died. I know, not quite a happy story. However, later they discovered it was an emperor moth, and in order for the moth to fit itself through the narrow neck of the cocoon, it must streamline its body. The fluids in its body are squeezed into the wings, which make them large and the body small. And with the struggle comes a beautiful emperor moth. Without the struggle, the moth can't survive. The kids learn lesson 2 to make your life grand. Embrace challenges. You need the struggle in order to spread your wings and be alive. Now next, I'd like to focus on my midlife crisis. Now you need to understand that my dad's dad died at 44, my dad died at 41, so I figured I'd have my midlife crisis at the age of 22. For me, it wasn't about money or cars or penis enlargement. It was about experiencing life. My midlife crisis turned out to be a journey to hitchhike across America. Now, along the way, I learned it was not so much arriving, but enjoying the ride. Looking back as a whole, I could have gone from point A to point B quickly, but I would have missed so much. For instance, one morning I woke up from a night's sleep out in a rural field in southern Tennessee and started walking down a country road. I was really bad at preparing for food, so I was hoping to find a local diner for some breakfast. There was a sign for a town some miles away, and I'd hoped I'd find a ride. I walked for hours with almost no cars passing, and when I got to the so-called town, it was just more farms. But then I saw a car kicking up dirt as it drove through a field, and when I got to the road, I had my thumb out, desperately hoping to beg for a ride. But when I opened the door, there were 4 guys dressed in camouflage and holding guns. Now, I was a young Jew in the South, probably not the best situation. Turned out they were just some friends from the suburbs out hunting. They laughed that I was out hitchhiking in the middle of nowhere, and we had a boisterous ride together. One guy even asked me to come to his house and he'd feed me. I ended up spending a few days with him and his family. You don't get that from going from point A to point B. Not to mention seeing the beauty of America, like an incredible experience of participating in the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta in New Mexico, hiking and camping in the Grand Canyon, even living on a commune in Virginia. I learned lesson 3, enjoy the ride. The last point I want to make is you got to have a sense of humor, so I will now combine taking a risk and humor by telling you guys a joke. So this kid comes home early from school one day, and his mom and dad are doing it on the couch. And the dad sees him, and he puts his fingers to his lips and points to go upstairs. And the kid is devastated, but he goes upstairs. Now the next day, the dad comes home from work, and there's the kid screwing the grandmother on the couch. And the dad says, "What the hell's going on here?" And the kid pops up and says, "Not so funny when it's your mom." So lesson 4, if you're married and have kids at home, make love in your bedroom and lock the door. Life becomes as you make it, so make it be grand. And you can make it be grand not necessarily by what you achieve, but by how you choose to live. So choose to take risks, because risks pay. Choose to embrace the struggle. You'll need the struggle in order to fly. Choose to enjoy the ride, and life is one big ride. And please, don't forget to laugh.